Hello there, folks. If you thought Friday Night with Nadine Dorries on Talk TV was bad, well, welcome to hell. Yes, this is Lee Anderson's Real World, a new show that will be broadcast every Friday night at 7 p.m. And I have to say, it is the greatest comedy programme the British have produced in many a year. Guests included Nigel Farage, former Allo Allo Z-list actress Vicki Michelle, you need to be about 50 to know who she is, and 30p Lee's fellow Member of Parliament for Bassett Law, the immensely unpleasant Brendan Clarke-Smith. We're going to have a little rundown of the very best of this programme, starting with Lee Anderson feeding baked beans to Brendan Clarke-Smith. Yes, you heard that correctly. We are going to watch one sitting Tory MP feed baked beans to a fellow sitting Tory MP. But why exactly? Well, you may recall Brendan Clarke-Smith making this blunder on LBC's Cross Question when he suggested people should buy inferior products to the ones they are used to during the cost of living crisis, whilst directly failing to realise his suggestion was affirming the notion that in the minds of many people, they are having to lower their living standards because of Tory economic mismanagement. He's not the smartest MP that's ever existed, I grant you. So let's take a look at that first.
Heinz baked beans, Heinz baked beans. Say the price has shot up at that, and people say, "Oh, this tin has gone up by 50% or whatever." Buy the Tesco value one.
So this occurred, I think, well over a month ago, but Brendan Clarke-Smith is hanging on to it. He can't shirk the bitter criticism that came his way after he made this response, and rightfully so. It's a typical Tory solution to a problem that they've largely caused. Oh, we've got the country into a mess, so you have to lower the standards of your living. Classic stuff. Really, unbelievably, just typical stuff. So with that in mind, let's head over to Lee Anderson feeding baked beans to Brendan Clarke-Smith.
I think
Brendan, I'll have to stop you there. There are baked beans incoming. So you got in a little bit of stick a few weeks back over your comments over I think it was a top brand of baked beans. Somebody complained the price had gone through the roof, and you said something like, well, buy a cheaper brand. Is that true?
Well, I did, yeah. If Jack Monroe or Martin Lewis gives this advice, they're seen as saints for it, but it's evil Conservative politicians, Lee. Baked bean brands have been called now.
Good news for you, Brad.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but has anyone here ever heard Martin Lewis suggest that people need to tighten their belts by buying an inferior brand of bean? I mean, honestly. Ugh.
Brandon, we're going to do the baked bean test today. We've got some top brand baked beans, some supermarket and another cheaper brand. So what we're going to do, close your eyes, I'm going to mix them up.
Okay, you're not going to spit in it, are you?
No, I'm going to mix them up. So you're going to tell me which one is the best one. So there is a spoon incoming.
Riveting stuff, this, by the way. This is all because Brendan Clarke-Smith can't let it go, and he wants to double down on that nonsense advice.
Lovely.
Open your mouth.
Okay.
Here comes a train. What do you think of that one?
Well, they're cold. I'm not coming back to this pub for food.
Well, dodgy landlord. What do you think of that one? Is it okay?
It's kind of a nutty twang. It's a kind of a 1984
good
kind
bouquet.
of feel to it. It's a good bouquet, very fluffy.
Yeah, a cheeky one.
Cheeky one, a little bit dry.
Okay.
Why is he closing his eyes? He doesn't know what brands they are. Why are his eyes closed? Is this the sort of chap who has to close his eyes to get the full experience, the full sensual experience of the baked bean?
And then
it's a very plain, very flat taste, very.
And then the third one,
neutral.
Because we've got to crack on. Incoming.
Well, I've just had a glass of water before this, and I think that was probably stronger than those beans that I've just tasted. So
1, 2, or 3, which is the best one?
Well, Three that I've just had, certainly the weakest one. Not a big fan of that at all. Number 2, I thought was pretty good, actually. Number 1, bit too much sauce, maybe there's some sugar in it or something. Yeah. It's a bit too much. So I'm going to go for number 2, Lee.
Well, you'll be pleased to know, Brendan, that is a Co-op brand. So
wow.
Actually, there was a lot of merit in what you said when you made the comment about buying cheaper brands. We've got...
Surprise, surprise, everybody. This isn't a setup at all, is it?
The Heinz, I think it's Heinz one there, and a little one there. So actually, Brendan, what you said...
The Heinz was the worst one.
Yeah, that carried a lot of weight, so...
Well, so do I nowadays, but...
Well, there you go. That's absolutely brilliant, Brendan. Thanks for the baked bean test, and hopefully we'll get you back on the show very shortly.
How tragic can you get? Bearing in mind, this was filmed on Thursday to be aired on Friday evening. Because, of course, Lee Anderson cannot be trusted to film anything live, because he's a half-wit, an oaf. So this was Thursday, daytime. This is parliamentary time. And look at these two prats. One feeding baked beans to the other so he can prove his point about cheaper beans being the better option than more expensive beans during a cost of living crisis. This is so Tory. It's so Tory, it's agonising. They should be at work where we pay them to be. Instead, they're sat there in a pub during the day, drinking, feeding each other beans. Anyway, let's move on to the next segment.
And now it's time for Wokey of the Week. My favourite part of the show, where we choose 3 Wokies. That could be people or an organisation that's done the wokiest thing this week. Now, Simon, bit of fun here.
Yeah. Now this, in case you're wondering, is Simon Danczuk, former Labour MP, who was suspended by the party for engaging in questionable text messages, sexual of course, with a 17-year-old girl. He was suspended, ultimately readmitted because he had done nothing wrong legally, but he wasn't reselected for his seat for the snap general election in 2017. I have absolutely no idea what he's doing here or why he has been selected to be on this show. It's most bizarre, but that's the background of Simon Danczuk anyway. Just so you know who he is.
Read this week that Glasgow goers, and you've been to Glastonbury,
I've been to Glastonbury,
they're paying £24,000 to stay in a tent for the weekend.
I have some sympathy with that, if I'm honest. It's pretty grubby at Glastonbury, it gets pretty muddy, so I'm sympathetic with them. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's swimming pool and everything else.
Isn't it part of the fun to get grubby and dirty and smelly? And
it'd be quite nice to do it luxuriously.
And have a few drinks.
Yeah, I'm not voting for them.
What would you pay 24 grand?
No, well, I haven't got 24 grand, so yeah, no, that's a quick answer to that.
I guess the next one we've got is what we touched on earlier, is the Rye College teacher. This is a teacher who's pushing back at pupils who have the audacity to challenge him over gender identity.
I think this is a possible contender, actually, and I think it's good that kids are pushing back on some of this stuff. I think the kids should be welcomed in doing this, actually.
Would you encourage your own children at this school to push back at the teachers?
Yeah, absolutely, to challenge some of it. You know, I think the teachers need to get in line on some of this.
And if the teachers or headmaster or headmistress came knocking on your door, what would you say?
I'd tell them what I thought. I'd say they're entitled to the views.
Right, the final one we've got this week is James O'Brien.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard of James?
Yes,
he's
LBC presenter.
He's impersonating a radio presenter at the moment.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, that is some brass neck from 30p Lee Anderson, isn't it? One of the worst MPs we have ever produced in this country, daring to comment on how good somebody else is at their job. Whilst he should be at work, but he's here pissing around in a pub, deliberating over who the Wokey of the week is.
On LBC. Now, he's not actually said anything this week other than just being irritating. Has he got a chance this week, do you
think? I think he's got a good chance. Privately educated, far left-winger, I would describe him as.
How much was that a year at school?
Oh, I don't know, but it will have been considerable. But he's very much on the left in politics, and I can't believe he hasn't said anything that's not woke this week.
So this is...
I mean, this really shows how far right our politics has moved when someone like James O'Brien is considered far left by Simon Danczuk, a former Labour MP. This is crazy. James O'Brien is not far left. Anyone who says James O'Brien is far left is suffering from some sort of blow to the head. And look at this, by the way. James O'Brien, Wokie of the Week. He's not said anything or done anything to make him Wokie of the Week, but he might still be Wokie of the Week because he's probably said something woke this week. So he could be your winner. I mean, this is... this is the best you can offer.
A person that would have, cost his parents or whoever thousands of pounds to go to a private school, is on the left politically and spends a lot of his time having popular people like myself and Brendan, who we spoke to earlier. So he's a real contender.
Real contender.
Let's have a vote. So, is it the Glasgow goers?
No.
Is it the right college teacher?
No, on consideration after the last two, no.
So although James O'Brien has not done much this week other than be irritating on LBC, does he get your vote?
Yes, we voted.
Gets my vote as well. So, James O'Brien, you are Wokie of the Week. Congratulations.
I mean, they're setting the bar quite low here. You don't actually have to do or say anything to be Wokie of the Week on the Anderson Show. My brain hurts. So that'll do it. I hope you enjoyed that. There were other gems throughout the episode, like what's her bloody name again? Hold on, let me get my notepad. What's her name? I've forgotten her name. Vicki Michelle pulling a pint, and she got rated 9 out of 10 for how well she pulled the pint, and she went onto a chalkboard, like a Top Gear style star in a reasonably priced car chalkboard. Lee Anderson is going to rate people on how well they pull a pint. It's just the most gammony program imaginable. All right, cheers for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you soon. Cheers.